Avatar films are not made by a computer. They're made by people.
Yeah, action.
And there's a lot of human work.
You said you could protect this family. That you could do.
What do you want me to say?
I was wrong.
What is your name, Skyman?
Quaritch. Colonel Miles Quaritch.
Zoe. I fear we will not survive this.
I want Jake Sully!
I will eat your heart, Quaritch.
Steve Rivkin, my fellow editor on the film, has accurately said that it is the most complex form of editing that has ever existed. First of all, it's not a linear process. Shooting, the first time, is capture. We don't get shots, we get scenes, we get acting. And it's been recorded by a system that records every nuance of the actor's performance. But it's not in an environment, it's not a shot, it's performance.
We get dailies of performance capture, and it usually consists of a matrix of many cameras, something like this.
That's not my fault!
Loak?
So now you've got to edit the performance because you've done multiple takes and parts of one take are better for one actor than another.
That's not my fault!
Loak?
Then we create shootable loads that are processed through our internal lab, and all the characters are put into their CG environments, and a file is delivered to our virtual stage.
Now I'm back out here on this stage. The stage is empty, just me and the virtual camera and that world with those performances in it. So I make all my virtual coverage of the scene, close-ups, two shots, over the shoulders, hundreds of different types of shots. Now I gotta edit it all again.
That's not my fault!
Loak?
Then it's complicated by the fact that many times we have to replace live elements into the virtual camera settings. But what Jim sees in the camera is something called simulcam. So he actually plays back the virtual version of that particular shot with the live element. So he can see this in the camera when he's shooting, and looks something like this in dailies form.
Come on.
You see them waving at the crowd below, but there's no crowd below, so that's a separate take.
You get a cut scene, every move perfectly accurate, cut to the frame, but it's not finished because they've got to take all of the template images and turn them into finished renders.
Ready about!
It's a representation of what the final shot will look like before it's handed over to Weta, where everything comes through in the final render. It's always a treat to me to see a final render come through for something when we've been looking at template for so long.
To see the characters alive, to see them dramatically in the moment, it's just tremendously rewarding because of what you've gone through.
Lighten ship, come up easy!
It's kind of a sacred moment. And then you just have to do it 3,500 times because that's how many shots there are.
As one of two production designers on Avatar 3, I work on the death machines that burn and otherwise destroy, all the nice stuff on Pandora. Dylan concentrates more on the natural Pandoran side of things, the big vistas and all the beautiful stuff.
We knew we had new clans coming in Fire and Ash. Several new creatures. Different locations. And it all had to integrate, correlate, make sense, especially on the Pandora side. This had to feel like a cohesive world where all these different ideas could exist.
The Wind Traders are coming! Come on!
The Wind Traders were the most exciting thing for me to work on. They were a fun people, and they were an amalgam because they traveled, and so they had to interact with all these different clans. But just the romance of having these huge gondolas, their huge woven ship that is suspended from the underside of a medusoid, and then towed by another creature called a wind ray. The script was very much written almost as if it was on like a pirate ship. Like it's very much a deck and there's rigging.
Ready about!
It's a vehicle, it's a set, it's a village at the same time, and it needed to exist both inside and out.
Woo! Yeah!
Many people, when they think about the art department, think about the art and the concept art, and it's like, you're done. And like, no, that's the beginning. Now, let's have this team of very smart people try and figure out how to bring this to reality. We had a huge practical set built on the stage that filled the entire stage. That was the main deck. And we went so far as to make a manual of how you would fly this thing.
Lighten ship, come up easy! And race! Full to windward! Heave!
We had all those ropes and rigging points there, making sure the background performers were doing the right thing so it tracks and it is legit on how this thing flies. Second new clan that we meet are the Ash people, the main clan. They have made their home in the burnt out trunk of their home tree. We always look at research for any and all clans. We of course looked at any and all bone sculptures and totems and stuff from cultures all over the world. That was all informative, but they were less referenced from specific cultures, more as a reaction to the other Navi cultures. And they are not a pleasant folk. And it's all about intimidation.
I am the fire.
There's a remarkable moment where Quaritch makes this crazy alliance with the Ash people and with Varang.
I'll give you guns, RPGs, command from a distance, strike like lightning.
So you end up with this really crazy mix. It was honestly fun because Dylan and I so often work in parallel but not connected worlds on the movie, so we got to figure out what this should look like. Anything that the RDA does is go big or go home. And so the bridgehead operation gets the best of the best. We have a new type of vehicle we call the factory ship, which is a nice purpose-built, heavy-duty industrial vessel. It's the ultimate mothership for whaling. This future RDA is not so far removed from us. It's not a future humanity. It's kind of just an expansion of where we are now. I'm basically designing cities. And because I'm dealing with the human side, I'm more oriented toward live action.
Background! Action!
I have plenty of sets that are enormous. I'm not building the whole thing, but the part that we will build needs to fit into the whole fabric.
And go! This way! To the water!
There's a lot of amazing designs that would take a lot to work out how we would build.
Let's go! Let's do this!
And then it's just that line between melding the digital with the real, which people can't even see because it's done so beautifully.
While we do so much digitally, I don't think people understand how much we actually build practically and shoot practically to create these things. Just having that technical reality massively informs what effects when they're doing the final effects.
Unable, I lost visual, coming around.
But of course, they get all of our assets and artwork to then go make the final things. Everything's been designed, everything's been thought of. We're very fortunate because on most films, the production design is usually gone after the live action shoot, but we're still around and have the privilege to continue to art direct our sets and designs through all post-production.
Between the first Avatar and the sequels, and it's important to remember that Fire and Ash is the second part of a story that's told between The Way of Water and Fire and Ash, and it kind of completes a story cycle. Between the first film and the sequels, we spent 5 years and tens of millions of dollars developing a much more advanced facial pipeline. We call it the pipeline, but what it really means is what those actors do, what they felt, every tiny detail, every tear, every tiniest bit of expression makes it into the final character absolutely undiminished. And so you feel it, you feel their heart. I would say it's even enhanced because the size of their eyes is like the window into the soul of these characters is even more enhanced. It's not something that we add on top of the performance, it's just the nature of the character. So if you thought of it as digital makeup, that would be the healthiest way to think of it. We're all familiar with makeup, Star Trek, Star Wars, Elephant Man, everything where an actor is changed for a role. Our actors come in, they look physically the same when we capture them, but in the final film, they look like their characters, Jake, Neytiri, Kiri, and so on. So Kiri is an amazing case in point. You have Sigourney Weaver, who was 70 and 71 across the period that we were capturing these films, and she appears 15. She is a 15-year-old in the movie. That's the power of acting, and I'm so proud of our actors in this film for what they did, and I'm so proud of our technology group for how they were able to preserve those performances without diminishment into the final image.
I'm in this place where I have nothing. Not my people, not my forest. Even my father's bow is gone. All I have is my faith that this is the Great Mother's plan.
You have this family.
How has Neytiri changed? You know, she's dealing now with a great sense of loss after bearing a child, and she's questioning everything. She's questioning why she is here, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and she's also trying not to question her faith. They always say that when a mother loses a child, half of her is buried with that child. Doesn't even matter if she has still living children. Half of her will be buried with them. And Neytiri very much was buried with Neteyam. She's finding reasons to stay and to find purpose all over again. So I think that what's driving her character in this film is I mean, it's two very conflicting feelings, but they still carry the same amount of depth, which is it's love and it's grief.
That sounds like a fun weekend, but that's not what you really want.
What do I want?
What you've never had. An equal.
The performance capture technology was, I think, a puzzle for me in my mind, but as soon as I put the suit on and started, filming, it was like being back in drama school, in the theater, in the playground. It was so very freeing when you don't have to think about the angle of the camera, you don't have to think about the light, you don't have to time anything with anybody else, you're just in constant close-up, constant wide shot. It is so magnificent to not think about anything except your performance. And that was one of the greatest gifts that I've ever received, is to be able to work with such incredibly talented and skilled and masterful people in this way. It's been a great, great school for me. And Varang, she's a fantastic character. She's very spicy, she's very different to me, But she taught me a lot about my relationship with power, and her relationship with power. It was a very big teacher for me. And she likes power over others because not having power makes her feel unsafe. And because she's looking for power outside of herself, by dominating instead of by being really present and really truthful to what's going on inside of her. And so by exploring the real kind of opposite end to the way that I want to live my life, it really helped me go back into my own self and be like, wow, okay, so from this place, like, what is power? What is my relationship with power, and how can I utilize this as also an opportunity to grow, you know? And I respect her a lot. And I mean, Varang and Neytiri too, but you know, they're both such fierce warriors, and they're both very, very smart and brave.
Come on.
Here.
The hardest physical skill for me to master when filming was freediving. I barely knew how to swim when starting the Avatar training, and I quickly learned, but I definitely dreaded that training. We had dialect training, archery, parkour, gym sessions, but freediving was definitely difficult, but I overcame it, and I'm very proud of myself.
I think the hardest skill was probably either the scuba and the full face mask, which was a very cool piece of technology that they made for the film, or just the parkour, because the free running, the amount of running Spider does in this film is insane, and the amount of vines he sweeps through and branches he jumps over is a lot, and I really, really wanted to make sure that I delivered a performance that was believable, that Spider has been in the jungle his whole life, and it's second nature to him.
The hardest physical skill for me to master when filming, I think, was freediving, because even though I loved the water, I'd been swimming for a long time by that time, I was not exactly sure how to approach freediving when it came to breath work and being at insane depths. And most of all, just being able to forget all of that and dive into my character and just be in that moment with her. But I think soon after getting the training, I was able to just really forget about all of it and go underwater and be like, I'm Took, I'm in this with my fam, and this is what's going on. And so that was something that was really fun. I had a hard time with parkour. I was just like Took with her siblings. I just wanted to keep up with all the older kids. And so that was something I think I had to go through the training to get a little more coordinated, but I was really excited about every aspect of training. The physical skills really gave me so much physicality to input into Took and just get into her body, but then also think about how I put that through the Took filter and where I go from there.
I got you, Took. It's okay. What does Dad always say?
Sully stick together.
No, the other one.
Sully's never quits.
That's right. Sully's never quit.
When you find Jake at the start of the movie, it's almost like a direct bridge from the second film. So his son's passed away, and he's struggling to find hope and direction. And within that, he's going to have to try to keep his family even safer, because that's his mantra. That his family is his fortress. Unfortunately, the fortress has been destroyed, and now he has to rebuild. And his relationship with the other clans is, there's plenty of clans in Pandora, and the Monkwan are probably one of the darkest that he's ever encountered. And it's, he then has to kind of figure out a way to not only stop the RDA, the humans, from coming, but he also has to stop the evil Na'vi from helping them.
At the beginning of this film, Quaritch has been humbled at the close of the when last seen, but he rises and lives to fight another day, and that's something that Quaritch, I think, is probably very adept at. That it's quite, you can lose the battle, but don't lose the war. I think that is probably his mantra going into this. And then when he encounters the Ash people, the Makwan clan, he sees something he sees a possibility in there. I think it's a great kind of kick and revelation to him to understand that not every clan in Pandora is as kind of positive and, tree-hugging, as it were, as the clans we've met hither, previously. That these are beings that he can relate to These are warriors or war-oriented. These are people who seem to like war in a way that kind of works for him. He finds it darkly alluring, it seems to me. So, you know, one door closes, another one opens for Quaritch, it seems to me.
As a director, as a writer-director, I kind of want to will this thing out of my imagination onto the screen. I can't do that myself. First of all, I need my cast to interpret those characters. So those have become amazing creative alliances over time with Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana and some of the others that are from the first film. That's been a 19-year journey. For the younger actors and some of the new actors that have come in on the sequels, it's been an 8-year journey. We've become a family. Our acting community, which also includes a small troupe of players that play multiple different characters, it's a small group, and we feel like we're a family. So it's a movie about a family. It's got a family behind the camera as well. Some of the other alliances that are very important is with, for example, Weta Effects and ILM, the two major VFX houses that are able to interpret these, take this character data that we capture and turn it into what appear to be living, breathing characters in a fictitious world. That's an important alliance. We have a great alliance with New Zealand, just filming in New Zealand and having their support and the support of their government rebate program in New Zealand. That's been an important alliance. A very critical creative alliance for me was with my producing partner, John Landau. That was a 33-year creative relationship. It ended, unfortunately, last year when John died in the middle of making this film. So this is his last film. And ironically, it's a film about grief and loss and how people process it and how they get through it and how they get to a more hopeful place in their lives. And that's been very healing, I think, for all of us working on the film, trying to make John proud, if you will, of this film.
I luckily had a year before I had to, actually do Way of Water. And I spent a lot of time just standing or moving, just going back to how I felt physically at 14. I remember it very well because I was this tall when I was 11, so I was like, hiding and not. I was funny, so I survived, but I think like many adolescents, it was a painful time. And so I really could relate to Kiri, especially she's mixed race, especially she doesn't know who her father is, and she can't be in touch with Ewa the way every other Na'vi is. And all these things are on her shoulders, and yet the family really are refugees. There's no time to sit and figure these out. So what I loved about seeing the film, which I saw yesterday, is I feel she comes into her own because of these crises. They all do. They all grow. They all find out they're much more, this is the children, find out they're capable of much more than they thought. And I do think that's adolescence.
So we have two new clans. We have the Wind Traders, and they are nomadic people that trade all around the world, and they fly. Well, they don't personally fly. They have these vehicles that are basically lifted by these gigantic creatures that are kind of like a floating jellyfish. We call them medusoids, and they even have almost what you'd consider to be like a tugboat that's a creature called a wind ray, and they can guide it, and they can fly in these amazing caravans. And I personally, the 14-year-old version of myself, would love to run away with the Wind Traders and fly with them around the world of Pandora. And we see our young kid characters go off with them on a journey. So that's a big adventure. And then we have, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have what we call the Ash people, or the Mungkwan clan. And the Mungkwan are very dark and down-twisted Na'vi characters. So not all Na'vi are good and fully virtuous. These are people that have turned their backs on Ewa. They feel fully justified because they've had a very traumatic experience. A volcanic eruption completely buried their homeland, and all their tribal lands are now dead because of ashfall and lava. flow over that region, and so they take it out on everybody else around them. So they become essentially a raiding culture, and they attack the other clans, including the Wind Traders. So that puts those two at odds, and of course, for storytelling purposes, our Sully family winds up right in the middle when, you know, it all turns to hell.
My people cried for help, but Eva did not come.
The Ash people. They have a very willful leader in Varang, Oona Chaplin's character.
This new, very powerful, very knowledgeable character enhances the threat to the Sullys.
She's like this young queen. Her subjects really worship her. They cover themselves in ash as a symbol of the power that destroyed their home.
Your goddess has no dominion here.
And she has a curious alliance with the enemy.
You want to spread your fire across the world. You need me.
Radha's gone down the dark path of being a shaman, being a tsahik. She actually has this mind domination and pain infliction capability. She's got the all-seeing eye on the palm of her hand. She can look into your soul, and there's nothing you can do about it. Oona's version of Varang is just a beautiful performance. Her eye contact and the way she talks.
I will eat your heart, Quaritch.
If you watch the way Oona moves, it defines the character. There's a sinuous quality to it.
You have the Oona that comes in, and then she puts on her costume, and she comes out, and she's this menacing, fallen Na'vi. Working with someone that is capable of transforming like that was powerful.
There was something special in Oona's portrayal. I've got front row seat to when we're filming, and it's even more shocking and even more frightening when you see it on a big screen.
We doing this?
Burn them all, Quaritch.
There's a saying that they say you can't play the king. Everyone around you has to play that you're the king or queen. But there is something about the self-belief and the surety of Varang that tapping into it was a really good muscle for me to work. And I'm so grateful, and it was also really hard.
I am